Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our Lyceum evening. Tonight, we did have two guests due to join us. We have the lovely Lola here from Denmark, and we were trying to get Jamie in the room from the UK. Unfortunately, he's hitting some technical difficulties, and it seems as though he won't be able to join us, which is a real shame, but not to worry, because the topic can continue, and we're talking about people who are new to our platforms. People, we've had a lot of very experienced and very adept demonstrators talking to us over the last few years. So it'll be a nice chance to catch up with people who are just beginning that journey of going out and demonstrating. So we have from Denmark, the lovely Lola. Lola, good evening, my darling.
Good evening, Lawrence, and thank you for letting me join.
Thank you for being able to join. That's even much more greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm just going to try one more time with Jamie. Yeah. There we go. I've sent that many links. I can't stand behind you and watch what you're doing. I have no idea what the gentleman's doing. Anyway, Lola, could you tell us, please, roughly how long it is since you've made that transition to actually working on a platform in front of people?
I started in a circle 2017 in Jack's circle, just only for me, for exploring what the mediumship was. And then, I started the education, Jack's education, and I was examined 2020, sorry.
Okay.
And then the COVID came and we have to learn online, and I've been online since.
Brilliant. And how long was it ago when you first stood up physically on a platform somewhere and worked?
I think it was in 18, I think.
2018.
Just to get the feeling of it. But, I wasn't ready. So I think there was 1 year where I said, no, not before I know what I'm going to do and how to get in and out and have more development, more
experience.
Yeah.
You said something quite interesting there, because you said about Jack's the education. We have liftoff, Houston.
Yes.
Yay! Well done, Jamie.
The vagaries of modern science. Yeah.
Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Lola.
Good evening, Jamie, and thank you for persevering, sir. Absolutely wonderful. So glad you can join us. It's so lovely to see you. We've just been talking with lovely Lola and just finding out roughly how long it is since they've actually started to work physically on a platform for a church or a centre. So if you could give us that bit of background from yourself, please.
Yeah, I started actually working on my own, as it were, because I'd worked with mediums before on platform, but it was about 2018. And of course, it's slow at the start because people don't know you, and you don't really get many people to sort of let you do it. So, and then of course COVID came in, which brought everything to a grinding halt with most churches.
Indeed. So actually, quite a similar time frame to the both of you here, which is, I didn't realise that, but that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to go back to you, Lola. You talked about Jack's education, because I'd just like to try and get a little depth as well of the direction but the training of our platform mediums go in different countries. So if you could give us a rough synopsis of how that education unfolded, what did it consist of?
I think, first of all, I must explain that it's very rare in Denmark to have education where it's only mediumship, because it's psychic normally. 90% of the education in Denmark is psychic readings. And then you have a weekend or two with mediumship, and then you go out and... But Jack's education was only mediumship. So that's very, very important.
And
it was 16 months. Yeah.
yeah.
Pure mediumship.
So Jack's education then was a 16-month cohesive program. So it took you through step by step by step and built and built and built.
Yes.
Excellent. That's the part I was trying to highlight there, that is a very structured approach to the development side of it, where you're working in tandem with a set program that takes you from beginning right up to being able to get out there onto the platform.
Yes.
Jamie, sir, your training, how did that unfold, please?
In the initial stages, of course, I had no plans to go on a platform. It's the first thing I need to say.
Surprise!
Because I was just quite happy sitting in a development circle, enjoying sitting with spirit.
Yes.
And that circle closed, which obviously was the grounding that I had. And then I moved to work with another medium, and that was a medium that you know quite well. And she was very much the same. She very quickly sort of was starting to gear my education, as it were. So she was my mentor and she was my guide, and we worked together towards platform mediumship, which in the early stages, when she said, well, you know, what is it you plan to do? And I said, I have no idea. And she said, well, I think you should go on the platform. So I have my training medium, as it were, to blame for the fact that I ended up in the platform. So that was about 2 years.
Excellent. Now, I'm loving hearing this. I really am, because something I quite often see in the paths of mediums and developing is it can be a very random and slipshod affair. It can be sort of like jumping from one circle to another, going to a workshop on something this week, going to a workshop something else a week. And there's a distinct lack of cohesion there. I know we have places, we have different groups and different organizations that offer longer residential training courses, but it's the overall plan of a budding medium, because this isn't going to happen overnight. This isn't a flash in the pan thing. This is a long process. And I think an awful lot of people do hinder their progress by not having somebody to say, do you know what, I think you've got it. And any decent teaching medium will be able to see that in any of their students. And because I see that you've got it, like you called her, Jamie, your mentor, and with you, Lola, your educator, that you've got that other person that's overseeing your development, that will guide you onto things, that will say to you, do you know what? Yeah, attend that workshop, or why the hell are you attending that work? What's that got to do with your pathway?
I think the other important thing, Lawrence, is that they have, as you say, they can see the potential, which is what my mentor saw. And they're the ones that have more faith in your ability to do it than you do in the early stages.
Yes. Yes.
You agree there as well, Lola, do you?
Yeah, I do. I do.
And actually, I wholly agree, because obviously in my role here at the church, we get people coming through I'll give you an absolute beautiful example. A few weeks ago, a lady said to me, you know what, I've been sat for 10 years now trying to develop my mediumship and I'm not getting anywhere. And I said, well, whoever told you you were a medium?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. I'm sorry, I can't see that ability around you. I can't see it in your energy. I can't see it by the way you interact with people. But that's not to say you can't be a medium for something else, but not what we want, because that's one of the big things, isn't it? We had at the beginning of circles, when you're introducing people and finding out, what do you want from the circle? And invariably, the ones who say, I want to be a medium, as in an evidential medium, are probably the ones in the majority that won't actually get to that stage.
Yeah.
It's the ones who say, do you know what? I just want to unfold my connection. I just want to see where I'm going to go and have that flexibility coming in. So, Lola, you were sort of like frog marched in by Jack. One arm up the back. I know he's around somewhere. So
yeah, he's sitting right next to me.
I know he's going to see his lovely face appear in a minute. Actually, it would be interesting. Jack, if you could just sort of like shuffle into the camera a wee bit, sir, just for a moment. Don't worry, don't want you in all the time. Too much of a good thing is bad for you. Good evening.
Good evening,
Jack. Good evening, sir. Can you just give an idea to people listening and joining with us tonight? What is it with you when do you just know? Can you give a rough idea of that? Yeah, there is that. I always say there is that potential there. Whether people do it or not is up to them, but there is that potential there. So how does that manifest with you, please?
First of all, it's when I'm looking at the energy, connecting with the energy, just that sense of there is this potential there. Next step is to maybe see them do an exercise or something. I've been like the education regime I've been running here and starting up again. With circles and things, I still have the development circles and things. When newcomers come in and they will have the first baby steps, and they are giving them some simple exercises, giving them some simple exercise that will easily show me a bit more about the potential. One thing is having the potential within the energy. Another thing is having the potential to get it out there.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I should talk about Lawrence. A potential as medium can be many things.
Mm.
Some are for the healing mediumship, some are for the philosophical or inspired mediumship, some are for trance, and some are for evidential mediumship. And in my experience, sometimes is one thing is what you see in the energy, but it's about their personality as well. Are they going to be a platform medium, or are they going to do sittings? What kind of evidential medium as well? So it's it's very individual.
Thank you, Jack. And you mirror my thoughts there. That you can see it in the energies, which is very difficult to explain sometimes to people, but it's just there.
Yes.
You just look and you go, oh yeah, that is there. That, maybe not, but that is most definitely there. Lovely comment there from Susanna Victor from the Faroe Islands, if I remember correctly, and saying Jack is setting a high standard here in Denmark in mediumship, and she really appreciates it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, so give her 10% off the next course. That'd be lovely.
Yes. I'll leave the street again then.
Yeah, thank you.
Jamie, sir, back to you, please.
Yeah.
So your mentor took you under their wing, and then this is a good question for both of you actually, because this is something that's been flicking around recently. When you're both going through your development as mediums, how much of that development is actually when you are sat in circle, as opposed to outside of sitting in circles in your free time?
I found that when I was sitting in circle before I had a mentor, as it were, then I didn't sit outside of that circle very often. It was just a pleasure to be in the circle. But when I started the mediumship development full time, as it were, then I realized that the time I spent with spirit was important, and that was in my own time. So that was sitting daily or as often as I could to make that link, to make that connection. And without that, I don't think personally the progress would be as quick as it was.
Excellent. And also, how much, if I rephrase that again in a way, apart from when you are sitting with spirit, because you just said that exemplary part there, that not only when you're in circle, you sit daily yourself. So when you are not sat in the power or you're meditating, that time then, how big a part did that play in your development? So through your reading, your understanding, your conversations with people?
From an early stage, I was very much aware, because I went to Arthur Findlay College sort of 2 years running on the courses that I could get on to get a wider view. And I was very much concerned with the knowledge base, if for want of a better word. And so I looked at the SNU courses about the structure of what they had, what the contents were, and the reading. And I very much used that as a template for my education on what I should read. So I read as much as that as I could on diverse topics connected to spiritualism.
Brilliant. So quite a fair proportion of your development then is down to non-communication side of working with spirit. It's developing yourself.
Yeah, the background knowledge. And of course, I realized quite early on that once you start developing it as a medium, it's as much about personal development as it is about being able to have the skills to give a message, if you like. So that became very obvious at an early stage. Hence the sitting with spirit, and also looking at your own life and how it fits in with your life, if you like, the philosophy.
Brilliant. Lola, same question to you. Outside of actually sitting directly with spirit in whatever capacity, how much of that time contributed to your development as an evidential medium?
I think I was sitting in circles and the education, and not so much outside, because I had two boys and a big girl, and everything was just, and then but the personal development just sneak in, right in the middle of the exam, divorce and moving, and so I hadn't got time to just sit with spirit alone.
You're a woman.
Yes. Sorry.
I was.
You're a woman. You're meant to be able to multitask. You keep telling us you can.
But we had in the education we had to have about 40 and 50 guinea pigs.
Yeah.
So I did that, and also the people who came to the center. But it has been my world for
for a long time.
All the time. Yes, I can't remember what I did.
Yeah, I can
Thank
add
you.
to that in the sense that I came into spiritualism at the age of 18, and it's been a part of my life ever since then. It's just that coming up to later in life, I realized I had the time to take it further. And if you like, there is this need that you suddenly realize you've got to fill.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I went to circles. That was the
you
initial
get,
thing.
it's kind of get a
Yeah,
push.
the push. You get the push. Yes.
Yeah. And you just can't help yourself. It's just, I need this. I need to do. It's like a drive. It's just, you just do it because you.
Whereas before, my life was very much focused on my career.
Oh.
Until it was quite clear that my career was coming to an end as I was reaching retirement, and then suddenly there's this overwhelming desire to go back to that. And it wasn't until I did that did I realize. They talk about alignment and being out of alignment, and that's very much what I was at that point. And going into sitting in circle brought me back into line, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love that because there's very big energies around balance, and we're seeing where we're out of balance in our own life, our societal life, our global lives. So that bringing back in alignment really resonates with me. I've had the very great privilege of seeing both of you work here on this platform here at Poole. And everybody that knows me, you know, if there's room for improvement, I will openly discuss that. Likewise, if people do exceptionally well, I will also say that. And I'm very pleased to say both of you showed not only that direct link that you both had in your philosophies, in your prayers, Lola, even when they were surprised on you.
Yes, very much.
But the way you demonstrate your gifts shows that you have a depth of knowledge. That's a nice phrase. You have a depth of knowledge. You not only know what you're doing, you also know the whys you're doing. You also know by previous lessons of that works, or maybe I don't need that, or whatever. So you both showed this great depth of knowledge when you're working, which is wonderful. And again, this is something we see with some of the up and comings, where their development has been quite fragmented and done under their own steam. Without any plan, and I'm sorry, this may offend people, but it's not meant offensively, to say, oh, well, I leave it up to spirit and they do it for me, just contravenes everything that we believe in working with spirit, because we go in as equal partners. I can't sit around with my feet up saying, it's all right, spirit will sort it out. They'll give help. And I have tried it, and believe you me, it doesn't work. So stop spitting your coffee out, love. But Arisha, lovely Arisha, she says, I believe sitting in circle can give the tools for mediumship, but sitting with spirit is most important for development. Now, quite interesting phraseology there, because we talk about our developing of our evidential mediums. But I always say, you know, as a teacher, I can't teach you to be a medium. I can't teach you that, because you've got to have that already there in your energy. You've got to have that ability already accessible to you. I, along with other mentors and teachers in your development trail, will help you to unfold those attributes that you already have. With the tools, we know of certain phraseology have, like the toolbox of the mind, so spirit can work with more. So you read more, you look at pictures, you try and memorize foreign names and things like that. So just start putting that in there so that spirit can start using it. But sitting with spirit is most important for development. So Arisha, I take it from that you're talking about maybe the sitting in the power discipline, which is like, it's not a meditation, because a meditation is a passive act. Whereas sitting in the power to me is a more active act. You're just building that power around it and being conscious of it and sitting in there. Is that a technique either of you use, please?
Yeah, definitely. There's two states, isn't there? There's the
Yeah.
passive state, which is wonderful, but then there's the active state, which is really almost a contradiction because it's passive yet active. And that's where you're raising the energy because you have to meet spirit halfway, literally.
Yeah.
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 And then you have to build up the energy to keep, learn to be in the energy and not
Yeah.
as be still in the energy as well.
Yeah.
And
That is very crucial for all platform mediums because you, in your career that is coming up, you will work in all sorts of atmospheres.
oh yeah.
I walked into a church, this is just pre-COVID, and I walked in the door and the first thing I said was, "Oh, I see the committee are trying to kill each other in here, are they?" And she went, "Who told you?" I went, "Well, actually, nobody, love, because it was the minute I walked in the door, you can feel it. And now I've got to try and work in this. It's really important that we as evidential mediums learn not only what that energy is, that power is, but also how to hold and to expand it where necessary. So, yeah, very interesting. Joanna Lewis. I find after a development course working with my guides in my spare time and reading spiritual books, a big part of my development helps with the wisdom of spirituality and getting to know your guides. Thank you, Joanna. You're picking up what I'm saying there. It's quite interesting that some people sometimes say, "Oh, yes, well, I'm developing to be a medium, blah, blah, blah. I sit every week." And you think, well, you're sitting for what, 90 minutes? It takes an awful lot more than that. You know, if your development is defined by the time that you actually actively go and sit in circle, I would suggest that maybe you want to review that. And as Joanna said, and the two lovely guests tonight, reading more, building up that education, that understanding about the philosophy, about the fundamentals of spiritualism. You can go back through the history of man's links with the psychic and the spirit. I was reading today about spiritualism with many religions and the difference between seers, sayers, omens, and also it's really fascinating. Absolutely. And that's just a little book that I've just picked up out of the blue, but that demands that I sit and read that a lot, because there's a great deal of background there that I know will be supplementary to my understanding and working with the spirit. So we're both out there now, aren't we? We're both out, you know, we get our name up there on the board and everything. How do you feel when you're going out to work with spirit? When you're going out to do a public dem? Lola, how do you feel?
Sometimes so excited, sometimes very, very nervous. That's it's my mindset. You know, and I have to develop. Okay, so who's going to tell me a good story tonight? Who will? Who can I bring? Who wants? It's very different. It's very different. I think it's not just. It's just sometimes you know, it's like it's very hard. You think, oh, not tonight, not tonight. Oh, I have to do it, and then it goes all right because you have to trust spirit. You have to trust they are there and trust that they use you as a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
can
like
use
that.
that.
Jamie, sir, how do you feel?
The energy is certainly in the early stages, it was terrifying. I likened it to standing in public naked, because that's what it feels like to start with, that you are exposed. And there's only you and spirit, and you don't know what to expect sometimes. But with time, that energy, then you realize that anxiety, that energy that is part of building the link with spirit, because you use that energy. But so yes, with more time, it's less terrifying, and there's a mixture between fear and pleasure. It's a strange sensation until you actually stand up and start working. Then that fades away to a large extent.
Okay.
I must say, in the start, I was standing. It was like standing in a hurricane. So I was running, and the pictures, the sound, the smells, the feelings were just whoosh. And the education helped me to calm down and build it up. Learn how to ask, and so now it's more calm. but it was very terrified in the start, in the beginning.
Yeah. We're constantly saying, why am I doing this?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Why am I doing
Oh yes.
Why? And I think it's fair to say as well, you've both said the same thing, that you have the fear and you have the excitement as well. And I think it's quite fair to say the fear is us exploring our vulnerabilities as a human being. We want to get up there. We want to perform our duties to the best of our abilities. We want that knowledge to come through. We want that communication to come through. We want to be faultless in our work. Faultless, not thoughtless. Fault. Wrong teeth. We want our work to be correct. So that's where the fear side comes in. But hand in hand with that, it is the excitement. Because I'm quite stubborn, I very quickly got into a routine of, when I was preparing like the reading and address, I would always say, give me a little sign that I'm on the right track with this. And invariably you would. Somebody would just say something, or a bit of music would come on and you go, thank you. Yeah. And now I'm reassured, that's fine. I can let it all go and just go, yeah, that's what they want. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
I've got to ask this. Don't shoot the messenger. Have either of you got any, what would you call it? Have you got any little practices or symbols or lucky charms that when you first started working? I'll give you an example. I went to do an open platform once and I got brand new socks on, and they were totally not the sort of sock that I would ever have chosen. And I wore them and I had a really good night. So therefore, they were my lucky socks for about 6 months. And if I didn't wear my lucky socks, I knew I was going to have a really bad night.
Yes.
Have either of you, or am I just nuts? Which is absolutely fine.
Not. I speak personally, not really. But the curious thing is, I got a message, because I still work within a circle of and I got a message from someone who said I've got a ring which is true, that belonged to my father, and that I should wear that when I'm demonstrating. And that was sort of early this year, so I've started to do that. Whether it makes any difference, I'm not sure. But
well, when you're next at Paul, take it off halfway through and we'll see what happens.
I had crystals.
Okay.
And don't do that. So when I stand up, when it's my turn, the crystal will fall to the ground and make a hell of a noise. So that was not good at all. So I tried to find something, but I was very afraid of it's going to be a bad omen, or like an old sock, smelly sock, or so I just try to shift it when I feel this is my lucky charm. So I shift it.
Yeah.
Because also I get very provoked.
Very provoked.
Yes, because if I can't find it, my mindset
Oh, I
will
see.
go and say, this is going to be a horrible night.
All right. Well, when you're next over, then I'm going to hide your smelly sock just before you start working.
That's good.
and then blame Jack. Moving on,
Blame it on Jack.
Moving on. Lovely Bill Rich. Good evening, Bill. The most beneficial time for spirit is sitting with them and allowing spirit to try different energies. Yeah, I agree there. But again, we've got to be that 50-50 partnership in that. We've probably got to instigate that. And say to spirit, you know, come on. Firstly, stop saying to spirit, talk to your communicators, find out who they are.
Yeah.
You know, those who work with you, you will all have an idea of those who work with you. If you know their name, wonderful. If you don't know their name, I always say give them a name.
Yeah.
One of the most commonest stumbling blocks people say is, I don't know my guides. And I say, well, okay, give them a name. When you say, right, I want my doorkeeper to step forward and make your energy felt. And when you get that, just say, thank you, Bob, a name. Step back in, step back. So I start to get familiar with you. And yeah, I agree there very much, Bill, about the different energies, because we don't go in on one tone, do we? We don't come in one, we have our energy. But I'm sure you both experience that during the course of a communication, you'll have somebody attach who is very light-hearted and full of levity and laughter. So you're quite, you know, oh, I've got this gentleman here. He's absolutely lovely. He's bouncing about. Likewise, we'll get people come in and go, oh, right, now I've got somebody here. I want to sit you down and talk to you and be quite serious about that shift in our energy. So, we've got to have that whole gamut of emotional responses to our communicators. Anyway, there we go. Lovely Arisha again. She always says it's like the excitement of going to a first party mixed up with nervous energy.
Yeah.
All right. I think I actually dreaded going to my first party because I'm quite an introvert, and the thought of going in a room with all these people actually didn't appeal to me in the slightest. Sue Townsend, do you experience preparing philosophy beforehand and it changes completely once on platform and you speak off the cuff? Lola first.
No, I didn't understand that.
Okay, so for your tale, have I called it the right word? Listen, I'm trying Danish here, all right? Don't mock me.
Oh, tailing. Okay, sorry. Yep.
Tailing.
Speak.
For your tailing. Yeah, there you go. For your tailing. So tonight I do my tailing and it's going to be about God.
Yeah.
So tonight I stand up to do my tailing, and actually it's not about God, it's about relationships within a family. It's just changed suddenly.
Yeah.
Do you ever have that?
Yes, I haven't done that very much because spirituality, spiritualism, blah, 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 is quite new in Denmark. It's only for the couple of 5 years. So it's very, very new to me. But yes, I you feel the energy. You just go with the flow when you're up there, and you never know where it's going to end.
So you leave your tailing to the night. You just go, do you know what? I'm going to get up there.
Yes, because if I'm too demanding, my brain will go stuck. If I don't let it flow, I will get stuck in my head, and that's not where we're going.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that. Jamie, sir.
Yes, now I work completely differently, as you know, Lawrence. It was quite early on in my development when I was at Arthur Findlay College. I was discussing philosophy with Simone Key, who I know you've got next week, and she was she early on said to me, well, philosophy in your case, because we were talking about it, is that there is nothing wrong with doing the preparation beforehand. So she looked at it very much that, and I've taken this to heart, that you get your inspiration, or I get my inspiration when I'm actually preparing to talk. In other words, I write it down. So I do inspired writing rather than that. Because I find that I can't stand up and just give it off the cuff for some reason. I don't know why yet, and it's something I'm working on. So yeah, so mine, I tend to spend the week literally developing the reading as the week goes along. I sit with spirit and they give me, and I write. So mine is very much working with spirit in the written form and then presenting that when I do a service. So the way I work is different to most mediums work, should I say.
Yeah.
And I'd love to be able to just stand up and give it, but I can't yet.
Oh, you can.
A work in progress.
Yes.
But also, I find that quite interesting between the two of you because I know a little bit about both your backgrounds. Jamie, you were a lecturer in
I was a lecturer, yes.
medicine.
In
And
medicine, yeah.
everything had to be all the I's
Precise.
dotted, T's
Yeah.
crossed. Lola, you are the proverbial free spirit. You know, you are the wake up in the morning, go, okay, well, you know, yeah, let's go for it sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating that your philosophy, and thank you for bringing up that question, Sue. Your philosophy follows, and why shouldn't it? It follows your natural energies. It was nice to hear you say, Jamie, that you are working on being more inspirational in your talents. More Danish I'm speaking, it's great. They both speak Danish, by the way, and I don't. Anyway, that you are working on being inspirational. And yeah, Sue, I've done exactly the same. I had the philosophy all, not word for word, but I knew it was going to be A, B, C. And I stand up suddenly, and suddenly XYZ comes out, and you just go, okay, that's fine, because you're working. You know, we must always remember that philosophy is the message for everybody on that day. And we sometimes let what we want to talk about, because I'm going to be really passionate today about sponge puddings, because I love sponge puddings and my sponge pudding's really good. But actually, the people that are in the church or centre that day, they actually really don't need to know about your sponge puddings. They actually want to know about how to live this life outside. So, yeah, I think sometimes we can let us dictate where we're going to go with it, and spirit will do everything to sort of like start shifting you off of your course into a more open course.
The interesting thing is, for me, is that when I'm working evidentially, the energy that I feel, the guide obviously is working with me, is quite distinct. But when I'm going through the material that I've prepared, or we prepared, should I say, for the address, the energy is completely different, which I find quite interesting. There is a different personality working with which I know there is. The different guide works with me for the philosophy than does for the evidential side.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. How about you, Lola, my darling? Are you getting familiar with who from spirit side works through you, through which aspect of your mediumship?
No.
No? Well, that was easy then, wasn't it? No. Okay.
No, not at all. Not at all. I like to go direct. I know people have some people have many guides, and I get so confused.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just stick with the one. Yeah, I get that. Brilliant. Phil Shaw. He never goes on platform without his lapis lazuli, obsidian, and his mum's wedding ring. I hope that's not all you take up there, Phil. I hope there's clothes interspersed in between that shopping list that you got there, mate. Thank you for putting that in, Phil. As I said, I found it a great comfort to begin with, but then it tripped me up because the one day that I didn't wear my spiritual socks, I talked myself into having not the best of services. And then I realised, actually, Lawrence, it's nothing to do with the socks. It's what you do. Where are we? So Joanna Lewis, go with the flow is a beautiful concept and she enjoys working like that. Lovely to hear. Lovely to hear. But again, I've seen both of you wonderful people working. And Jamie, you were with us a couple of weeks ago. And I did make comment to you after the service that every aspect of your service was extremely well accomplished. And including your philosophy, because I do love, when philosophy comes through and it inspires people for today's world. It motivates people for today's world. It gives hope to people for today's world, because this is what people need so much. And you do sometimes, you hear some philosophies, and when it's finished, if there wasn't anything there, there's nothing really there that you can pick up and take away and work with. It's a bit like an angel delight philosophy, shall we say? It's all fluffy.
I mean, I am very mindful that philosophy should be about the bigger picture, but also on a personal level. That it's about how we live our lives and how we interact with that greater energy, if you like, which most people would call God. But yeah, there's that. And for me, there is an educational element to it. But that's my background, I suppose.
That's absolutely fine. And I know, Lola, with yourself there, with the online services that I've seen you do, and when you were here yourself up there. Do you remember that? Again, the philosophy was about life. And the life that the people in the congregation are going through at this time. And I mean, how wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? So just got a lot of comfort from this. Phil Shaw will be fully clothed when he's down here at Poole next year. Oh, thank you, Phil. That's very kind of you. We'll have to have the camera right up there otherwise.
Yeah.
So you're both now engaged on getting out there and working. I know with yourself, Lola, that you not having one fixed place, so you travel around.
Yes.
Because your concept of travel over there is different to ours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we tend to limit us, if going to Scotland, it's like, oh my God, that's a big journey. But for you in Denmark, travel is just part and parcel, because everything's quite far apart. It's we're going down there. It's 90 kilometers, 100 kilometers, and you don't give it a second thought, sort of thing.
No.
So have we got plans now where the winter time's coming in of seeing an increase in these stems, or do you decrease it because of weather conditions over there or something?
I think online has done very much good, bad as well, but good thing. And I must say that we don't have churches in Denmark, so we have to go in venues, and you have to go out there and rent a room. It sounds creepy, but it's not like that. Sorry. But
Jack Nudger. I was talking to the boss, Jack Nudger.
So it's different, and after COVID, it's very, very it's very hard times, and you don't have you don't have dims like we have, like you have. We don't have services like you have. Only with Jack, Danish Spiritual Association, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Then you have to go out there and make, I don't know, pay £100 for one night, and you don't know if you're not known. You have to pay. You of course have to pay, and you don't know if you can get that back. And that's not the way I like to work.
Yeah.
I think let's go even. I work for free with our church in Denmark. So, but you have to be out there, and then when you rent a venue, they ask, "Oh, so why are you here?" And they think we are a death cult or something like that. So they just, "Oh no, 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 no." They don't know what it is, so it's very, very hard. Yeah.
A death cult.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mediumship is not that known in Denmark, not in this depth.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
as I said, when we have 90% of the education is psychic reading, and then they have 2 weekends with mediumship, and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very interesting. Very
I
interesting.
don't think so, but
No,
very bad.
There's various little bits in there. I know that lovely Jack there, you do these wonderful services from the Danish Spiritual Association. And I love the format that you follow, where you have somebody will do the prayer, somebody will do the reading, somebody will do the Talem.
Yeah.
1 or 2 people may do the mediumship, because over here, and I think it was Jack that said it to me once, he said, "My God, you know, I've worked your mediums in England. You know, the good old chairman, all we have to do is, and now it's Jamie. Jamie, over to you. And I'm going to sit on my arse for the next 50 minutes now while you work your butt off, because I'm not going to do anything." And it's really true. You know, over here, the medium is doing the opening prayer, the closing prayer, the reading, the address, the evidential mediumship. Yeah, and
it wasn't always like that.
No,
it wasn't
no.
always
Read
like
my
that.
mind. Read
Yeah,
my
it
mind.
wasn't
I
always like
wonder
that.
what happened. What was that shift?
Yeah, quite.
What shifted to stop that? Because even in my time, I remember several, not couples physically, but couples who would share the platform.
Yeah.
And one would do the philosophy, one would do the evidential, one would do the reading and the prayer. You know, and then that seems to have sort of like fallen to the wayside. And I'm just wondering what brought that shift in over here in the UK. I know, obviously, we look at fees for mediums, which is always a hotly contested subject. Is it the fact, you know, you may have 2 or 3 people that you have to take into consideration financially? Is that what drove that away, or
Makes you wonder.
was there an egotistical aspect to it, you know, of new mediums coming up and going, "Well, I'm not working, you know, I'm going to be the star. I'm not going to be second fiddle to anybody." Is that energy in there? Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Joanna, picking up on that. Normally at a service, there's someone doing a reading, and normally take the prompt from the reading to give the inspired. As a trance medium, my guides normally pop in with inspired as well. I like that approach, where the church or centre or somebody else does the reading. I was fortunate enough to experience that up at Wimbledon earlier on this year, and Phil Shaw, even though I'd got the reading already and I was everything was planned out, and then it was Phil was going to give a reading, and I thought, oh, actually, yeah, I like that. Yeah, go for it, sort of thing, because I want to be put on the spot. I want to be not complacent in my mediumship, whichever side, and the philosophical side. So, Risha, as you know, they did a shared service. That was last week down at Newton Abbot with Ricky. So one did the philosophy, one did the reading. I think they both shared the mediumship. And everybody who was there, I've seen the reports come back, said that was a brilliant service. So, I think we need to investigate that a bit more. I think we need to investigate that.
It may come back, yeah.
Yes, there is a potential there.
Because it's certainly less stressful for everybody concerned, I'm sure, if you've got, you're only doing this part rather than the whole thing.
Indeed. And last weekend, we were very fortunate to have the lovely Jeanette and Tim Abbott here, who are a couple and work together as a couple. And the service was just heavenly the way it worked. It really was. And yeah, you haven't got all that stress in there.
No.
Lovely.
And then the energy can continue to flow and just, and then, and change. And you're not stuck with one medium or if I think I like that when you can change.
Yeah. Julie Caswell here from Wimbledon. I remember it was usual for a separate medium to do the address, and that was in the 70s. This is going to spark another Saturday night to find out what happened. Why did we go
somebody
through that
must
shift?
know. Yeah, somebody must know.
Or put together the acquired knowledge of other people and go, oh yeah, maybe it was on the developmental route of our mediums. Instead of people only learning to do evidential mediumship, they were pushed to do more the philosophical mediumship as well, and the prayer. And so maybe that instigated that, where suddenly the mediums were changing from just being an when I say just, specializing in being an evidential medium to, well, actually, a mediums now should specialize in all fields.
Yeah, an all-rounder. Yeah.
Marion, lovely Marion Frisbee. Spirit know the need of those present. To trust and allow yourself to be influenced, Spirit will take the philosophy where it needs to go. Sometimes I have thoughts prior, other times it is totally different to what I thought it would be. Drew, welcome to the club. A hymn or a reading can be a starting point. Yeah. And often, I love it when it happens. Have either of you experienced this yet, where you've had your, you've come out with your philosophy and the hymn following it goes with it. Yeah. And it's not by prior arrangement. It just does.
Yeah.
You've had that as well, Lola?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, you just go, yes. Arisha raised a point. Was it the cost of paying expenses for two people? We don't know, my darling. We don't know. It's quite an interesting. Yeah. Interesting. So going forward, better what?
We have always done that with several mediums and two mediums or three and a chairman. Wonderful.
Yeah, I love it because as we've got to know people from around the world and hearing the different ways spiritualism is presented, I think there's a lot that we can learn from each other. Something we learned here in the UK very early on is how blessed we are to have a spiritualist church virtually on every corner.
Oh, yes.
We just assumed that the rest of the world had that, and no, they don't. No. In fact, friends in Germany and France, it's still very much a subculture. It's nothing you can advertise openly and freely. You have to have a network of friends and arrange. Somebody I know hires out this beautiful place deep in a foreign country's countryside, so I don't give too much away, but where they can actually practice the religion of spiritualism out of the public eye.
And certainly, I have experience of Spain, and certainly within Spain, it's still very much this psychic although they call themselves mediums, it is very much the psychic reading that you get, and they're the same. They're very. There are no public demonstrations, except I know one medium that does quite a lot, and that's Anne Germain, who before COVID, I've not heard much since, goes round large areas of Spain, has got quite a good following, and she did a series of programs on Spanish television, which was mixed reception, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the desire is there, but it's not so well developed.
No, it's the same in Denmark.
Yeah.
Do you both think now, with the advent of so much more being available online, not only in demonstrations of various degrees of success, but also services and indeed talks like this, do you think now that now this has become part of our movement, and to me, a very important part of our movement, we might start seeing that cross-fertilization to the countries where the ability to attend a church or a centre is limited or non-existent? Do you think we might start impinging on those mindsets to investigate more and actually look at doing things in our own countries?
I mean, I think the only thing that strikes me when you say that is the fact that we are obviously speaking English. So it's for someone that doesn't have English as a first language or even a second language, is going to have problems anyway. And so we won't be picked up by countries that don't have English. That, I think, would be a big stumbling block for it getting around different countries.
That's interesting. Lola, what do you think? Do you think that spiritualism is more in the consciousness of the Danes than it was pre-COVID?
Yes.
Right. I'm not having you on anymore.
Yes. Oh, yes, I do. And I think also what we do in Danish online with the spiritualism is getting out there and educating people.
Yeah, I think it does open up. I've just seen a post earlier on tonight. The lovely Tim Abbott is just getting ready to go to Switzerland to teach. Now, I know there's quite a few of our high-profile mediums that quite often travel to the Baltic countries, Switzerland,
In Denmark.
Germany, a little bit. But so obviously you must be working through translators in these countries. But it is interesting that the UK is seen as the source for good teachers at this time. However, I am seeing exceptional teachers coming out. You know, I'm not saying it because he's there. Jack, to me, is an exceptional teacher. He really is. And he can send me the money later for that.
Yeah.
Our mutual friend, the lovely Frederick, again from Sweden. I rank him right up there in the top 3 mediums that I know. He's a beautiful gentleman. Somebody is just talking of foreign countries. Somebody has just joined us, the lovely Stephen Trolland from that foreign country of Scotland, where they don't speak English. Yeah, we have got some gifted, and I would love. I think I've said this before. I would love to see the spiritualism in Europe really start to take off, really start to get firm grounding and move forward, and utilize what you can do from the English model, good and bad. You know, we have. You can say it if it's going to be more than yes or no. Yes.
I will try to fill in the gaps then. No, you know, before we learned about mediumship in Denmark, it was just like, oh, go with the flow. Just say, I have your mother here, and oh, you can have a mother figure around you. Oh, yes. And she's telling you about, she's talking about your chakra and your cat and your aura and yada, yada, yada. Sorry. no offense, but there was no evidence.
Yeah.
So we didn't know that we have to prove
Yeah.
who is with me.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Yeah, yeah.
Very much.
Sorry for my poor English, but
It's better than my
so
Danish.
that's the learning from UK.
Yeah.
Very important. The love of we are not alone.
Yeah.
And I'm only a tool just to let you know that your mother is here, and she did this and this and died this and this, and all the evidence you can bring in to let them know. And you're just not, oh, I think something flickering came. It was your uncle. I think, that's how it was before. So I hope so much that this online will touch people's heart, and not this, but services and spiritualism, educate them in we are not alone, and it's not just a flickering thing.
Yeah.
I think going back to your point, Lawrence, about international, I think it's worth making the point that the Arthur Findlay College do have Japanese weeks, they do have Italian weeks, French weeks, German weeks, and there is very much a strong international element within all their courses. When you go there, you meet people. I've been on courses where there are people from Australia, from Canada, from New Zealand, from Portugal, from Italy, and again, they come from all over. And their internet version, the SNUI, I'm not here plugging the SNU, by the
No,
way.
it's fine. We
But
talk about everybody and everything.
Yeah, it's definitely, they have international representatives all over the world. So there is, and they, like yourself, have blossomed online. There's definitely, since COVID.
I mean, it's marvelous, and I am aware of those different themed weeks with the SNU and other organisations as well. But I'm just hoping they take that next step now, because it's wonderful to go away and be educated to raise those standards. But what happens if you are in a country where you are not at liberty to practice them?
Yeah,
that's a problem. That's definitely
so if I have to go to Arthur Findlay, I have to pay £700-800, and I don't have
near
that.
Near £1,000 now.
Yeah, and I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
It's a lot of money. That's the problem with that.
Yeah, so that's why online is so important for me.
Yeah.
Seeing all the services, and so important, very much important.
Lovely. Stephen has just got my mind working overtime. Is there something like an app that can auto-generate captions in a different language so people can join in a different country?
Not sure about that. Yeah.
Good question, Stephen.
Yeah,
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be up until about 4 a.m. now, desperately searching for this. Thanks, Steve. Interesting. So interesting. Don't want to go too far down any negative routes, but both of you, now you're demonstrating out there in public. Are there areas that churches and centres could maybe improve on regarding accommodating you and presenting you as a medium? Don't say anything about Paul. All right, Jamie.
Oh, please.
But no, it's interesting to hear back. It is interesting to hear back.
Well, I must say in Denmark, we do have a platform, and people can come in and join once a month, a training online or circles, but there is not much, many people who join. I don't, mediums.
Yeah.
Got corrected here. So, I don't know. So, and as I said before, we don't have churches here, so I can't answer that. So I leave it to Jamie.
When it comes to actually working for churches, I don't see that there's any major problems, because most of them, in my experience, allow you to do what you wish to do within the structure of, obviously, prayers, a reading, and then evidential mediumship. That's a set format, and I don't see that changing rapidly. What I'm more interested in, and again, this comes from my background in education, is the ongoing development of mediums, because I see it as a lifelong process of development. And that is what's missing for me within the church network, if you like, for want of a better word, is the fact that, you can become a medium, and I think there's a danger of thinking, that's it, you've made it, you've done that, and that's as far as it goes, rather than recognizing that it's like all things, it's certainly within the professions, because you've got the qualification and you're on platform, that's when the learning starts, really.
Yeah.
And this lifelong process of updating your skills and so on, and learning. And again, that's where the personal development comes in. But that's a thing that I'm quite mindful of when I look at other mediums and think, where is there for the mediums to go to develop?
Indeed.
Without having to go to institutions, as Lola says, that are quite expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not everybody can afford it, and we're not knocking institutions.
No, that's right. Not at all. No, it's a reality. It's a reality of life.
It makes the world go round. But you brought up a really good, pertinent subject there about the attitudes of our platform mediums. And is there a danger there with some to go, well, I'm getting bookings, people like me, so that's it, I'm here, I've arrived. Because I've seen, and I've sort of like gently advised mediums when especially when people are very new to a church or a centre, everybody does tend to go, oh, got a new medium. So they have that initial flurry of excitement. They watch them. Oh, yeah, they're very good. But I always say to people, be careful of that stage, because you can start believing their own hype. And I can guarantee you that if you just stay where you are with your mediumship, in 3 years' time, the same people will be going, oh, no, I'm not going to them, because they'll do the same old, as go out your back door, you've got 2 steps to the garden, da.
Yeah.
Because, it is such a progressive thing. Every time we do a service, we should come away with a lesson. We should come away with a question. We should come away with a change in our mentality, and keep that progress going to honour and deepen that connection with spirit. Because if you just get up there and start working as a medium and think, that's it, I'm getting bookings, happy days, I'm a medium, your mediumship is stopping there. And the people that you are serving will see that over time of every message is 6'2", eyes are blue, had a lot of trouble breathing when they died, Kelsa breeze, and they love you very much. And every message you deliver is on that energy, whereas
it becomes formulaic, and you can spot it quite easily. Unfortunately.
It's a sad thing.
Ongoing mediumship you never stop learning mediumship. You develop it. It's a lifelong commitment. You develop all the time. Sometimes, it's very spiritual, and then it's very evidential. I think go with the flow on that account.
And as a healing medium, as a healing medium, I found myself getting very challenging in what I was asking the spirit, and working and pushing that. And it suddenly dawned on me that I wasn't applying that same regime to my evidential mediumship. I suddenly thought, here I am, when I'm working on healing, I'm going, come on, I really want to feel this, step up the energy, all different techniques. And I wasn't applying that to my evidential mediumship. And I'm so blessed at meeting wonderful people now here at Paul Church that I'm getting those opportunities and those little bits of guidance to try different things, to approach it in a different way, to try that. And there isn't a failure in our mediums. We don't fail as a medium. We just explore our vulnerabilities, I always say. We can let ourselves down on a personal level, but we don't fail. We're just exploring those vulnerabilities. And the fact that we are exploring vulnerabilities is good because it means you're willing to progress.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Have you any last words? Lovely Lo. Somebody on here watching either tonight or sometime in the future is thinking, should I explore the possibilities of being a platform medium? What would you say to them?
Explore it. You can explore it and you will find out if it's something for you or it's not. And how it goes, it's how you are as a medium. Don't force it if it's not there.
Brilliant, brilliant. Jamie, sir, same question.
Two things. I think you've got to ask yourself why you want to do it in the first place. Why do you want to be a medium? And the second advice I give is find a good circle and find a good teacher, someone that is going to guide you and take you along. That gets more difficult, although there are plenty of church circles, and certainly I would tend to steer them towards a church circle rather than private ones initially.
Yeah.
Because sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say...
I thought we were talking about educated mediums, not if you're totally green. Don't jump out. Don't do that because it could be horrified. You can break your neck, not literally. But...
And of course, as you say, the other thing I think they need to realise at the early stage, that it's a long process. It's not overnight. It's not a quick fix. It's not something you can do quickly. And you have to be committed and you have to put a lot into it. And there's a lot of, if you like, heartache along the way because there are lots of lessons to learn on a personal level. It exposes us to all sorts of influences that some people may not be happy with, if you like, or happy, I think is the best word. But so it is realised that it's a long commitment. It's not something that happens quickly. Yeah. And you've got to put the work in, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to honour both worlds. You have to put them together. I think it's a huge responsibility. Not just to stand up and say, hey, I'm so good at this. Yeah. Whoa, and I can move like this and say like that. But it's a very, very big responsibility.
It's a commitment.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Interesting. I must bring this comment up because it's beautiful and it's so nice to read it. The lovely Stephen Trolland is saying, we have created evenings for a selected few people that have an understanding of mediumship, where the working mediums can say to the spirit world, what can you teach us tonight? But then the mediums need to let go of their comfort zone and enable this to work fully. Stephen, absolutely beautiful. It's been in my energy now for a number of months that we're not looking after our mediums. That's the thought that came into my awareness. And one of the ways is having peer groups for working mediums to get together, to explore their work, to further their work. Interestingly, though, some people I've said that to have received it very willingly and gone, do you know what, that's a lovely idea. One person's response really took me aback a bit and went, are you joking? Can you imagine it? They'd all be fighting and bitching about each other. And I thought, oh my God, are we that vulnerable? Are we that frail as working media? No, we're not. No, we're not. I'd refuse. There will be some people, obviously. You get 10 monks in a room, you're not going to get on with 2 of them. Fact of life. But yeah, that is so heartening to read, Stephen. Thank you. Very interesting. Very quickly, if you can, Stephen. Is that something that you were practicing before COVID, or is this something that you've brought in since COVID? Just be interesting on a personal level to understand that. Oh, and he's saying it's on Zoom. Brilliant. Brilliant. Why not? Absolutely.
I mean, in a lot of professions, they do peer counselling or peer support, basically, and it works. And if people realise that it's mutually I mean, I've done it when I was working, and it is mutually beneficial. There's no downside to it at all. You can literally discuss issues that come up in your mediumship, but it does mean they have to be self-aware. That's the stumbling block.
Yeah.
If people are not willing to disclose and, as you say, show their vulnerabilities, they won't benefit from it.
Yeah.
We do that.
It's like all forms of counselling. You have to be willing to expose things that you may not be that comfortable with sometimes.
Yeah. Lola?
We do that. We have this every once in a month where mediums can come in and work with their mediumship. But have feedback, sorry. But again, it's like people are very afraid of showing their vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I think
sorry.
No.
But I mean, certainly, I think if people realise that the benefit outweighs the discomfort,
yes,
then they get the hang of it, and then the penny drops, as we say in English.
And then you develop your mediumship because you have to work and that's so lovely. That's so lovely, out of the comfort zone and just work.
And again, that brings us back to the original point there of the mediums who are willing and want to further their mediumship. The mediums who go, well, that's, I'm a platform medium. And I've heard this very energy from people. Well, I'm a platform medium. What do you want me to do that for? Because at the moment, you're just a platform medium, whereas you don't know. You might have the potential to be the best platform medium. So, Stephen, I'm not sure if he wants to go for one. Post or pre doesn't really help, Stephen, but I'm guessing, as it's on Zoom, that it's post COVID. So what a good idea. What a good idea. Excellent. Lola, darling, and the lovely prompt on the side. Cooey, Jack.
Show your adoring face.
Where you were getting your direct voice from. Thank you. Jamie. Thank you, Stephen. Yeah. So since COVID. Brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Stephen. That's so interesting. Jamie, I'm so glad you persevered and got on here. Absolutely.
Yes, thanks. Yes, I worked it out eventually.
Yeah, look out. They've found you now. So if you want to do a runner, that'll be... Thank you both. Thank you, everybody, for joining tonight. Whether you're watching live tonight or online sometime in the future, you're more than welcome. Next week, our Lyceum night, where our guest is the wonderful Simone Key, who was head of education with a large organisation for a while. So, and it just seems to be the theme of this month. It's all about education. Not planned, but obviously designed by greater thoughts than mine. So very looking forward to hearing Simone Key, the importance of education, the different styles of education, where we can improve, where we're doing great, different aspects of education. Because that topic has come in tonight on several occasions, the ongoing education. not just the getting up onto the platform, but the continual education and the furtherment of our education is just so vital. It really is. It's so vital to us.
Yes, it is.
Everybody at home, thank you for joining us. If you'd like to, our service tomorrow from the church is streamed live onto our Facebook page. And we have Anne-Marie Hogan paying her first visit to us from London. So we're looking forward to seeing her work. Lola, Jamie, thank you so much. As I say, next week, 7 o'clock, we have the lovely Simone Key who will be talking to us. How wonderful to have somebody like Simone gift her time, as all our guests do. We're deeply, deeply appreciative. Have a beautiful night everybody, wherever you are, and we look forward to joining up again sometime in the future. Good night, everybody.